As every farmer knows, efficiency is an important equation that you can't ignore. But I think there are a lot of misconceptions about efficiency. We have this notion somehow that the bigger you get, the more efficient you become. That there's that almost locked-in relationship. And so if you aren't going to get bigger, you're going to be less efficient, and therefore you're not going to survive.
Something that's efficient has little wasted motion and produces an outcome with a minimal effort. The goal of that is to conserve energy and avoid waste. But the efficiencies that are gained in the economic system, especially in the food system, have the reverse effect.
And I started to think about, some of my friends who farm, who now are farming 25,000 acres. Well, you figure at that rate, you ought to really be efficient, right? But at least 1/4 section of one of my friends who farms 25,000 acres is 100 miles from the farm. It takes a lot more energy and time, et cetera, to plant and harvest that quarter section than the one that's next to the farmstead. So you start to lose efficiencies as you get larger.
The problem is not technology, it's our use and our philosophy of technology, that there is no limits to what we can do. So if we have a problem, we will just apply technology and overcome that problem. Economic efficiency can measure cost benefits in economic terms, but some of the costs and benefits that we have to consider are not economic and they can't be quantified. For example, how do you know if somebody is happy? Okay, how do you measure that in quantifiable terms? How do you measure the value of the work that earthworms do in the soil? What is the economic value of the beauty of a native prairie? Okay? We can't put these things into an accounting ledger, tally it up, and say, we have economically achieved this in the most efficient way possible, because it can't measure that for us. There's no tool to do that.
Where we're at right now is 75% of our total food and agriculture is being produced by just 195,442 farms in this country. And 30% of those farmers are over age 65, and only 5% are under age 35.
In America right now, 2% of Americans make their living by farming. So that means that 98% of Americans are in the consumer end of the equation on this one. So we've got a very small sector actually producing and a large sector looking for their next fix. And I worry over that if we don't get more people understanding and participating in the producing end of this equation, that one of these days we'll go to the supermarket and there's not going to be something for our next fix. And then what are we going to do? So if we think about the economic efficiency of two farmers farming the same amount of land that 30 farmers used to be able to farm. It's more economically efficient if 2 guys and 2 tractors can do that job instead of 30 guys doing that job. So on a strict balance scale, okay, just costs, inputs, and output, we say that is definitely more economically efficient. The problem is that we didn't ask what the goal was. Okay? The goal was never economic efficiency. The goal was things that matter to people. And when people are asked about what is it that you really love or value about life, they don't say economic efficiency. They say things like, I want to be able to put my kids through college. I want them to have a better life than I had. I want to be able to get together with my neighbors and live in a safe community. I want my kids to be able to go to a good public school. So what is the implications of just having 2 farmers where there was once 30? Suddenly your kid has to travel 60 miles round trip to get to a town that has a school anymore. You've lost 30 families in your community. So now the businesses like the hardware store, the restaurants now aren't economically viable anymore. So these are things that we don't often measure by economic efficiency, and we can't measure. But we need to keep those values and goals front and center and keep economic efficiency in its place.
Efficiency isn't a measure of happiness. It may be a measure of the opposite of happiness. So I think what we need to become, rather than talking about efficient food systems, is we should talk about food systems that make us happy. And raising a garden and sharing your produce with your neighbor makes me happy. And having a food system that produces local nutritionist food that I can buy, still affordable prices, makes a lot of people happy. So that would be my advice to people, is get off the word efficient and talk about systems that make us happy and healthy.
Funded in part by the North Dakota Humanities Council, a nonprofit, independent state partner of the National Endowment for the Humanities, and by the members of Prairie Public.